I lived in Monteith Hall, which is on the upper quad of Virginia Tech's campus, right next to the coal plant.
I lived in Thomas Hall, and I lived on the side where the windows were facing the coal factories. Being in that dorm, you could smell a difference between those dorms and the other dorms.
I guess I just kind of thought it was like ridiculous that students would have to live so close to a coal power plant.
We weren't told anything about it. We got here and we're like, oh, cool, okay.
The plant has affected me mostly with noise. We've actually had to keep our windows closed for most of the year, and with no AC that's been kind of insane because it's been so hot in here, but we just don't want to open our windows because we can't sleep at night from the noise from the coal plant.
Our windowsills were always filthy, and I didn't really think anything of it whenever I was like living in Thomas, but looking back now, that's just not right. And my desk was the one facing right on the window, so like once a week I'd wipe it off and it was filthy, just black dust all over it.
A lot of our hallmates have their windows open and they've got dust everywhere, and it's a mix of just regular dust and black soot from the coal plant, and we just don't want that in here. So it's kind of a trade-off between being really hot or having that noise and dust in here.
Well, it's, frustrating obviously because of the dirt that it's bringing in, obviously from the fan. And then also how the coal truck comes every morning at 5:30 and wakes us up because it beeps and then when the big truck comes and brings in the new loads, it dumps it and it wakes me up every morning.
It was loud all the time. To hear silence sounded like noise because you were just so used to the sound of the factories.
Now, having seen The Last Mountain and seeing the health effects that coal plants have on people in the communities, very, very detrimental health effects, I think it's horrible that there's any students living up there, including the entire Corps of Cadets.
Look in the windows! Look at the fans! Look at the coal dust on the screen!
We're like the lifeblood of this campus. We're the students, and our health is at stake.
There's evidence of people getting sick in our hall, and we don't know if that's due to the coal plant, but it might be, and so yeah, it's frustrating.
There was a girl on the 3rd floor, I think she had asthma or something, and it got so irritated from the coal plant and the dust that she had to move out after the first week.
Virginia Tech's motto is invent the future, and Virginia Tech is supposed to be on the cutting edge of architecture and engineering, and we're supposed to be inventing the future. We have a coal plant that's from the 20s. What happened to inventing the future? If I could talk to President Steger, I would ask him to invent a green future.
If I could speak to President Steger, I would say that you have one of the top engineering schools in the country, and you should put it to students and your brilliant professors to ask them how we can have our buildings heated cleanly without using a retrofitted old power plant, which is hurting the health of your students.
I would tell him that we're all really concerned and that this isn't in the dark anymore.
President Steger, if you care about your students, then you will use their abilities to become one of the leading clean energy schools in the U.S.
And I would ask him, how do you justify this to yourself? How do you know what's going on and let it keep happening?
So ask yourself, what kind of world do you want to live in? I want a world where my water is clean and not polluted with mercury and toxic chemicals. I want to attend a university myself and for my children so we can breathe the air without fear of health consequences.